We are very pleased to have a representative from the National League of Democracy of Burma here with us to discuss the situation in Burma, giving us a history as well as a context for the current turmoil and challenges for the Burmese people today in 2007.
So my name is Bo Hla Tint. I'm an elected member of parliament from the National League for Democracy. So I'm here today not to talk about our organization or government in exile, but to talk about Burma, historical background of Burma, and what is really going on at this moment, and what is the role of the international community and people like you to help freedom in Burma. After the 1948, Burma enjoined its parliamentary democracy, but because of the ethnic dissatisfaction and went into the armed struggle, and because of the very weak leadership, so Burma faced a lot of difficulties, even though one hand educationally, economically getting better, but constitutionally or politically Burma is very unstable in 1950s. So but because of the weak leadership, instead of giving opportunity according to the parliamentary democracy to the opposition, Prime Minister U Nu made a mistake in 1958 when the country faced with a lot of multi-ethnic insurgency. Instead of giving the opposition to continue the rule country to stabilize country, he constitutionally given the power to the head of the military, General Ne Win. So since that time, military came into the power reign of Burma, and General Ne Win at that point is very, very sincere according to the history. Because of the weakness of the civilian government, in the army there was a second line leadership trying to stage a coup, and they consulted with their head, General Ne Win, and General Ne Win said that no, you don't need to make it all coup. I'm going to talk with the Prime Minister U Nu. He is a very nice gentleman. So he talked with U Nu, and U Nu told him, you don't need to make a coup. I'm going to make constitutionally, because this is history of Burma should not be stained like a military coup. So in 1958, he constitutionally given the power to a military leader. So at that time, he was very sincere and promised the caretaker government will only spend in 2 years in power. In 1960, he's going to make another election. So he kept his promise at first time. And in 1960, Burma was allowed back to the parliamentary democracy. But fortunately or unfortunately, U Nu, who has been elected for twice, has been repeatedly elected for the third term in 1960, who was known by the army he's very weak, become again a prime minister of the elected government. So military allowed him to govern the country for 2 years, but in 1962, U Nu learned his lesson not to make another mistake, and he trying to negotiate with all the ethnic nationalities who are talking about the federal type of democracy to install or establish in Burma future. So U Nu trying to negotiate with the ethnic leadership, but General Ne Win, who already been in power for 2 years, cannot allow it to happen. So that in 1962, in March, so military really staged a military coup in Burma. Since that time, Burma was being under the military dictatorship. And they called themselves a revolutionary council. They ruled the country without any constitution for 12 years, or so-called martial law. They destroyed all the democratic institutions like a parliament, constitution, or students and workers unions, and all the independent media, and all these independent judiciary systems, and all kind of democratic institutions had been abolished by the Revolutionary Council of Military Dictatorship. And they ruled the country for 12 years, and in 1974 they changed their clothes into the civilian plain clothes. But the same generals, they called themselves again in BSPP, Burma Socialist Program Party, and they introduced a one-party dictatorial rule in Burma for another 14 years. So because of their mismanagement, and the biggest mistake they did is introduce self-isolationism or cut off communication the country with the outside world during that era. So in 1987, being under the 26 or 25 years under the military boots, Burma was recognized by the United Nations as one of the least developed countries of the world. Once upon a time, Rice Bowl of Asia, the richest country in the Southeast Asia, the most sophisticated country become the most poorest country in the world within the 25 years.